Welcome to Wrestling with Power. I'm Mr. Mosley.
And I'm Slick Vic.
And we are live, pal, on our YouTube channel right now for episode 12. This is the 12th week of us being here, gathering on this day of October the 9th, 2025, Thursday night. Vic, how's it going, man?
You know, the horrors persist, but so do I. In other words, I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing, Mr. Mosley?
Well, I'm doing pretty solid. Today was the coldest day of the year so far. I can say that. And I had to wear pants to work, and I was very upset by that.
Man, what an inconvenience.
It is an inconvenience. I don't like wearing pants. I like wearing shorts. I'm one of those guys that will wear shorts in the middle of wintertime, but have like 3 or 4 layers on top. You know what I mean?
I'm the opposite. I wear pants in the summer. I don't wear long sleeves, but I like to wear pants.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen you not in pants, actually.
Now that sounds kind of dirty.
That does. Wait, no, I have. Now that I think of it. Yeah, I've seen you take a dip in the pool before, so yeah, I've seen you in shorts.
Yeah.
Anyway,
some fun pool parties back in the day.
Yeah, a few libations, some hot tub action. You know what I'm saying? We won't get into too many details, but yeah.
We'll leave it to the listeners to leave it to the listeners' imagination from there.
Yeah, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit. It's like wrestling. Speaking of wrestling, there wasn't a whole lot of news going on this week. At least none of note that Vic and I would care to go over, because tonight, this is going to be our 4th time doing Slick Vic's picks? I think it's our 4th. SummerSlam? Shit, hold on, I forgot. What was the first one?
I think the first one was maybe Evolution?
We didn't do picks for Evolution, did we?
We did not. I don't recall.
Saturday night's main event.
Saturday night's main event was the first one. Okay.
Did we do picks for that?
You know, I have to double check the archives to confirm.
Man, I really don't remember. But this is like the 3rd or the 4th time we're doing Slick Vic's picks. I'm thinking it's the 4th, but it might be we've had 12 episodes, so that's been 12 weeks. So that's been 3 months. And yeah, so we're on number 3 or 4, one or the other here. Anyway, for those of you who maybe are joining us for the first time, Slick Vic's Picks is a segment that we have where we wait until a few days before, just before whatever the upcoming premium live event is, and Vic gives us his predictions on what will happen and how it will go down, who will win, with the help of his crystal ball, which can be seen in the background here, if you're watching on YouTube. And speaking of the background, we also have another one of Vic's gimmicks back here. Why don't we take a look at that and see what's going on there, Vic?
Welcome to my nightmare, bitch.
So last week you had Freddy. Or last week you had Jason, now you have Freddy.
Yeah.
Are they both from the same, toy thing? They look similar.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they're from the same brand. I don't recall which brand it is. I'm sure one of our kind listeners will tell us. But, oh no, look at it. The hat even comes right off.
Oh, wow. That's nifty.
Yeah, the machete from Jason last week came off as well.
Now I noticed that the Jason that you had last week was the Jason from Freddy vs. Jason. That he had his outfit on from that movie.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Jason.
Yes.
Well, I can't tell which Freddy this is, if I can get it into focus or not. There we go. But
well, I'm gonna assume if they came from the same box or the same line, then Freddy always looks the same, doesn't he? He doesn't change his straps very often.
No, but depending on the movie, though, the makeup ranges from really good to really bad.
Yeah. Well, New Nightmare was probably the only time I remember him being different looking, though.
But he had the trench coat. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I didn't like that movie.
You did not? Wow. Okay.
No, I didn't.
No, I do like that one quite a bit. That's probably my third favorite Nightmare movie of the bunch because the first one and the third one are really, really close. Some days like the first one more, some days like the third one more. Do you have a favorite Elm Street movie?
Man, I don't. Well, I've seen them all, but I've not seen them as extensively as I watched Friday the 13th. When I was a kid, I was all about Jason. It was all about Friday the 13th. I did not ever really get into Nightmare on Elm Street like I did every other horror movie that I watched. I didn't get into Halloween either, so yeah, I can't tell you that I have a favorite, but if I was just to kind of pull one out of a shallow memory here, maybe part 3.
Okay, The Dream Warriors. That's a very popular one. Like I said, it's up there with my favorites. Is there any kills that come to mind? Is there any? Can you remember a kill of any movie? Any Elm Street movie?
I can give you 2 kills actually, Vic. There's the one where he pulls her head into the television.
Do you remember what Freddy says before he does it? It's, welcome to prime time, bitch.
And then there's the one where he pulls the guy into the bed and the blood shoots up and hits the ceiling.
Yeah, that was Johnny Depp.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So
I've asked a few people that question. I asked my cousin that once, and he was like, Roach Motel. And I'm like, oh, okay. But in part 4, he basically invades a woman's dream who's like working out, but she's got a fear of bugs. And he rips her arms off to reveal, and she's got like not spider arms, but like really long insect-like arms. Long story short, he traps her into those little tiny roach traps, Roach Motel.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then he just grabs it and squeezes it, and you see guts come out.
I don't remember that whatsoever. Yeah. I don't remember it, but I have all of those movies. I have the whole collection on Vudu, so I'm going to have to go back and watch that. Which one was 4?
That's 4, yeah.
Which one was 4? Was that the final, the supposed last one?
No, it's not. The final one would be part 6, which is called Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, in my opinion, is probably the worst one. It's just so much of a Looney Tunes cartoon, and not in a good way, because, I think a couple weeks ago when I had Gizmo on my gimmick table, I put over Gremlins 2 really strongly as a live action Looney Tunes cartoon, but
yeah.
Freddy's Dead kind of does that for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I got you. Well, yeah, I'm going to have to go back and watch that. I want to see this Roach Motel business.
Yeah.
But awesome. So, speaking of movies, though, as far as recent news goes, I can let all of our listeners know that Slick Vic has finally watched Akira.
Yes, I have finally seen the majestic, infamous, mythical Akira from 1988, and my review is might not agree with the public consensus, but maybe because I don't have the nostalgia for it that everyone has. But I liked the movie. I liked the visuals. I liked the action. I wasn't bored. I just didn't get what was going on. Like, I couldn't keep up with the plot. At times, I was looking over to my wife and be like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "There's like some gangs fighting right now, and there's a guy with psychic powers, and there's like government conspiracies. We're not in Tokyo right now, or like in a futuristic Tokyo." And then at the end, the main is Tetsuo the main character? Would you consider him the protagonist of this movie?
Yes.
And then Tetsuo turns into this giant behemoth kaiju type thing.
Protagonist. No. Kaneda is the protagonist.
Okay, that's funny. We had this conversation the other day. I watched the dubbing where they were calling him Kaneda.
Yeah,
and you were like, "Who the hell is Kaneda?" And it's like, it's Kaneda. Anywho, Kaneda was voiced by Liquid Snake, who I've got on my back shelf back there. But anyways, I like the action. I like the visuals. I was engaged, but I didn't know what the hell was going on. I finally know what the Akira slide is. And yeah, I think this is a movie I think that requires repeat viewings. Would you agree or disagree?
Oh, absolutely. It requires definitely repeat viewings. And you will, I would wager, Vic, that I understand your point of view on it, and I'm not going to come down on you for your point of view and not thinking it's like one of the greatest things you ever saw. But I think that if you watch it more, every time you watch it, you will like it more and more and more. It's just one of those movies.
Yeah.
If you watch Donnie Darko,
Yes.
it's the same kind of thing. Like you
Yeah.
watch that movie the first time, you don't know what the hell's going on.
No. No.
I've watched it probably 20 times, and it took, I still don't know what the hell's going on. I kind of do, but, it's one of those types of movies, which every time you watch it, you've seen it 3 or 4 or 5 times, so, like, certain things, you're like, okay, we're at this part, but you always find something new. You always notice something new that you, like, oh, that's awesome, So,
I'll give you another example. Fight Club. Did you ever see Fight Club?
yes,
I
love
didn't get it. I didn't get it the first time I saw it either.
No, you won't.
And, it was also misadvertised. I don't know if you've ever seen the trailers, but the trailers make that movie look like an action movie, even sometimes a martial arts movie, which it's not. Which it's not. It's
No,
not an
not
action
at all.
movie. It's not a martial arts movie. It's a character study. It's a damn good one too. But the trailers led me to believe it was one movie, and I walked in watching it, and I didn't get it, and I was bored because I was expecting an action movie. But again, repeat viewings have led me to come around to it greatly because I really, really love Fight Club right now.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. That's one of the best movies ever, I think. I love when they're arguing about, where he's arguing with Marla about which sick meetings they can go to. And she's like, all right, well, I get testicular cancer. And he's like, no, you can't have testicular cancer. And she's like, well, technically, I belong there more than you do.
You still have your balls.
Yeah. Yeah, such a good one. Such a good movie.
Yeah.
But you finally watched it. I understand your perspective, like I said, but you need to watch it a few more times. There's also another movie that you watched, however, which I had mentioned last week. Last week, if you guys did not catch episode 11, because it's October and this is Halloween month, we celebrate Halloween every day. We gave you our top 3, or at least 3 of our top favorite horror / Halloween / scary movies to watch. And one of mine, Vic, I was a little surprised that you said you had never saw, was the 1990 version of Night of the Living Dead. And but you watched it.
I did.
Give us your analysis here.
It was good. It was pretty damn good, because it's funny because a lot of it is I'd say about 90% of the movie is the same movie that we saw in '68. Did you ever see the original one?
Yes. It's been a while, but I did watch it, yes.
A lot of it is very similar, but I do like what they did with Barbara. In the original one, Barbara is just kind of a damsel in distress type character. And in this movie, she becomes a little more aggressive, a little more independent, a little more stronger. And I did like that spin on Barbara. Tony Todd is in this movie. Tony Todd, this is before he became, this might have been the start of his horror royalty, because this is before Candyman. And Tony Todd did a great job. I thought he was really good. And let's see. I think I told you this in the past. They just recently, like in the last 2 weeks, they released an unrated cut, which I did not watch. I watched the theatrical cut, but it was still pretty violent. It had the same vibe of the original, with the whole don't trust the humans. The whole themes of we bring out the worst in each other, in terms of when the end of the world's going down, we bring out the worst in each other. I don't know if I like the ending. No, I still think I like the ending in the original better. It was more bleak and more how do you say it? I don't know. Just it's bleak, I think is the best word to put it, because Do you remember in the original, Ben survives, but unfortunately he gets killed by the people that show up with guns at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in this one, he turns into a zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really surprised. But what I really loved was Barbara sees that the Cooper survived, and what does she do? Puts a bullet in his brain and says,
Yeah.
There's one more for the pile."
Yep.
So that part was great. That part was great. But overall, I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I had a good time.
It's a good. I always love the atmosphere of that movie. It just seems so creepy. Because it starts out, it's in the daytime. This isn't one of those horror movies that everything's at night and everything's in the dark and you can't see what's coming at you. Like, it's in the daytime and stuff's coming at you, and it's a different weird feeling. They find this house, but this house itself is secluded from everything, and then the zombies come. I don't know. I love it. It's very. It makes me feel like I'm in a nightmare when I watch it.
Okay. Yeah.
Hard. But yeah, I'm glad you finally got those two gems on your list, and I'm assuming that you're going to be watching both probably more than once from here on out, Vic.
Yes, sir.
Well, I tell you what, this is Wrestling with Power, and so far this has been scary movies with power. But we're gonna transition over a little bit to some wrestling, if you will, and as always, we have the SmackDown review, the most recent SmackDown review, which would have been from October the 3rd, and then we have the Raw review from October the 6th. This weekend is Crown Jewel 2025, and as I mentioned before, we have Slick Vic's picks for Crown Jewel, as long as there's no more matches that are announced, which could happen because tomorrow's Friday, so they may announce some more matches on Friday, on SmackDown tomorrow. But as of right now, I think the card's pretty much filled out, and Vic has his picks locked in. Vic, you're going to be bringing us the SmackDown review. Are you ready for that, sir?
I am ready. Are you ready to receive it?
I'm ready to receive. Let's go.
All right. So, SmackDown, October the 3rd, 2025 in Cincinnati, Ohio. We start the show with Cody Rhodes coming out for a promo. He asks, "What do you want to talk about?" Well, Paul Heyman and the Bronze immediately interrupt, and they come in through the crowd. And then Randy Orton teleports into the ring to even the odds. Heyman says he actually wants to talk to Orton. Paul says since he couldn't get a hold of him via phone, email, or text, he decides to corner Rhodes and the Viper will appear. And that's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. Which he says the same thing about the tag team match tonight. And then Heyman also plants seeds of dissension amongst the baby faces, saying this can't last, which he says is another spoiler. So I thought this was good. I thought this was just, I think he was right. And soon, eventually, someday, one day, down the road, in the not too distant future, we may finally get the Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton feud for the WWE title. What did you think of this opening segment featuring our main event players, Mr. Mosley?
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, I didn't have that big of an opinion of this opening segment. I thought it was not as exciting as some of the more recent ones we've had. I thought it would turn into an all-out brawl, and basically we got what we got. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't think a whole lot of it. It was interesting, and like you said, hopefully we'll get the Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, because I think they could tear the house down. Randy Orton, he's sort of the locker room leader these days. I mean, he's been there forever at this point, and he can have a great match every match. So I'm looking forward to that. This segment, though, I don't know if it did it for me, Vic.
Okay. Following that, we have a backstage promo with Carmelo Hayes and The Miz arguing about last week. Miz is upset that Carmelo watched him get pinned. Carmelo says, well, you should have kicked out, which I thought was a good line. Then Mello says they're done. So I guess he's broken up with The Miz. And even Cole says, did Mello just dump The Miz? Anyways, this leads us to the Sami Zayn U.S. title open challenge. And it's answered by Carmelo Hayes. Again? Swerve, bro. Nope. It's because The Miz comes out and lays out Mello with the skull-crushing finale. And who comes out to answer the challenge? It's Aleister Black. So we have a match now between Aleister Black and Sami Zayn for the United States Championship. So Aleister Black comes back with, Sami Zayn starts the match with some smooth Ricky Steamboat-like arm drags. I think I might have said that in the past. But anyways, Aleister comes back with big kicks, kickboxer-like even. I won't segue into kickboxer with Van Damme. Anyways, a moonsault into an Indian style sit by Black. By the way, do you say Indian style or do you say pretzel style when somebody sits with their legs crossed, or do you say just cross-legged sitting? What do
Indian
you say?
style. Indian style. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we go to break, and then we come back. Sammy comes back with the 10 punches and then even kicks in the corner. Springboard moonsault of one of his own. And then Booker, I have to mention this. Booker talks about how the U.S. title gives Sammy the cloak of invincibility. Once you win that title, it gives you about 20 to 30% more ability to get it done. That's a direct quote. I didn't know Booker was into D&D. Just saying. Back in, Sammy hits a Michinoku driver. Black replies with a kick and bridging German suplex. After a series of reversals, Black hits a Mortal Kombat-like sweep, which I popped really hard for. Sammy comes back with a big superplex, and then we go to break. When we return, Sammy goes back up to the top rope, but flies right into a knee from Black, which looked devastating. After another series of reversals, Sammy hits a haluva kick. Black hits a Meteora. Black is looking for the Black Mass, but gets distracted by Priest. And then he eats a haluva kick and a Blue Thunder Bomb for the pin. My thoughts, this was a good one. This is what I like to see in these matches. This is good back and forth action. The challenger looked great. I didn't mind the ending because I like Aleister Black and I want him to be taken seriously. So it gave him, he had a bit of an out, and sure, the table spot at the end but he went through a table at the end. But it was a hard fought match, and he got taken out by Priest. So it's not like he got taken out by some jabroni or something. So, what about you? What do you think of this whole thing with Carmelo Hayes and The Miz and Sammy and the Open Challenge?
As far as Mello Don't Miz, I think I called this last episode or two where I was like, I don't know how long this is going to last because they kept fighting over who gets the pin in the match. And it was like, no, it was last week. He didn't go in and save his opponent. And I'm like, this is a championship match. Why wouldn't you do that and save your partner? I'm sorry. So the writing was on the wall. I felt like I was kind of enjoying them together. So I wish that they had actually done something. But, whatever. They'll have a match with each other later on, and, that'll play out. As far as the Sami Zayn and Aleister Black, I thought it was a solid, hard-hitting match. I wish we didn't have 2 commercial breaks through it. I feel like Sammy's title reign has never been more in danger until this match, because he's always fighting these, up-and-comers, people that you pretty much know that's not going to beat him. But then here comes Aleister Black. But at the same time, it's Aleister Black. So you know that Damian Priest is going to be getting involved.
Yeah.
And he did, of course. But I thought it was a really good match up until that happened, even though I called it. I don't know. I was torn, Vic, because, there was no other way that this could have went down. You don't want Sammy to lose because you want him to keep having these U.S. Open challenges because they're so great. You don't want Aleister to beat Sammy because of that same reason, because Aleister's still tied up in this thing with Damian Priest that they can't get over. You don't want Sammy to win because, then again, the U.S. Open challenges are done. So this was the only way that it could go down. It was the expected result. It was the right result. but I was sort of had my fingers crossed maybe a little bit for a surprise championship turn. You know, I think if Alistair had taken it, I would have been okay with that because then it would have been Damian Priest and Alistair fighting over the title. But again, I'm a big fan of this open challenge stuff, so right move. Right move. Good match.
Following that, we got a backstage segment with Nick Aldis, and he's with Sol Ruca and Zaria, which is quickly interrupted by Chelsea Green and Alba Fire, who come out and they try to recruit them into the Secret Service. They say no, and instead we have a match, which is actually next. We have Chelsea Green and Alba Fire versus Sol Ruca and Zaria. First thing I want to say is I want to put over Zaria and Sol's entrance. Good odd couple they are, and it's quite cinematic. Anyways, so starts off with Zaria grabs Alba with the middle rope choke and then a flying clothesline. Chelsea and Sol come in. Sol hits a tarantula-like move on Chelsea that hits an X Factor. The heels take control for a minute. They team up on Sol with super kicks to a kneeling Sol Ruca. Sol counters an unprettier and hits the Soul Snatcher, which, man, awesome finisher. Awesome finisher. And that gets the 1, 2, 3. Any thoughts on this short but sweet segment?
Short but sweet. That's a good way to put it. My first notes for this, Vic, was, so the Speed title still exists?
Yeah.
She comes out with the Speed Championship. They announce her as the NXT North American Women's Champion and the WWE Speed Champion. I thought they had got rid of those titles. But otherwise, this is the first time, and you showed me, it's been several weeks ago, but you showed me the Soul Snatcher because you're like, you have to watch this finisher. And I went and watched it. That was during one of our episodes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And it was impressive. But this is the first time that I saw it live. And I was like, holy shit, like that was awesome. Because it's like out of nowhere. Yeah. And it was great. It was damn impressive. The match was okay. It wasn't anything special. But I think the biggest takeaway for me personally was finally getting to see that finisher go down.
Yeah. I wonder, do you think Soul's got a bright future?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, backstage, we got Charlotte and Alexa. They say they're ready for Sol and Zaria. Charlotte wants Alexa to woo, but she doesn't. But Kathy Helly does. And so did I. Woo! I mean, who doesn't like to woo? Woo! Woo!
I love to woo. I woo every day, multiple times a day, actually.
Yeah. And then follow that up with another backstage segment. We got Cody and Orton say they got each other's back, despite what Paul Heyman said earlier. And then we got a contract signing between Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Vicaire. All right, I'm not going to get right. I'm going to get right into it. This was lame. They both respect each other and put each other over, and that's it. No one went through the table or anything. Well, Julia and Kiana came out. By the way, Kiana is wearing her best Ricky from the Trailer Park Boys outfit because she got the whole houndstooth. I mean, I'm sorry. Ricky has ruined the houndstooth pattern for me. Every time I see that, I think Ricky from the Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah.
Anyways, Kiana talks some trash, but before anyone can fight, Tiffany pulls Kiana out, and Julia escapes an SVB, and then that's it. Any thoughts on these backstage segments or the contract signing there, Mr. Mosley?
No. I don't really have any thoughts on that particular segment, Vic.
Okay.
Well. You took me right out of it with the Trailer Park Boys.
It's funny because I believe Bubbles showed up on the other wrestling. I think I showed it to you. Bubbles showed up on AEW the other week.
Yeah, he did. The Green Bastard. Yeah.
The Green Bastard, parts unknown. So, moving along. Nick Aldis tells Javon Evans that he's got a bright future. Ray Phoenix is the same thing. But Los Garza are not impressed. which is enough to set up a tag team match, I guess. So we have a match. But first, there's a video package of Jacob Fatu saying he's sick of Drew complaining and he feels disrespected after last week. He's all gas and no brakes. Anyways, back to
you got to do the thing.
The what? Yeah, I mean.
There you go.
Did I do it right? Let me hear yours.
No, I can't do it. That's why I wanted you to do it.
All right, so I got some nice springboard moves by Javon, or shall I say bouncy when it comes to him. I believe that's part of his gimmick or his nickname. Anyways, they all take turns doing dives over the top rope. Phoenix hits a nice corkscrew dive. Very nice tag team move by Los Garza, where it's like a combination like forward slam and disaster kick, where one of them is holding one of the wrestlers in a slam position, and he's got the other one in a power bomb position, and his partner hits a disaster kick, and everybody falls forward. Good stuff. And then Javon does a dive, which takes out the cameraman as well. But the match ends when Phoenix gets the win with the MMB on Berto. You know, this is okay match. I mean, it's just spot fest. It's not too crazy, nothing too memorable either. I got much else to say about that. I don't know. Anything you'd like to add with this match?
You know, I mean, it was a decent little match. Like you said, it was more of a spot fest than anything. And, you know, Javon is... When I was watching this match, I was like, damn, like this is just a Kofi Kingston clone. You know, maybe a little bit, you know, he's younger, so he's more agile, he's more energetic and things like that. But I keep saying this is like a Kofi Kingston clone. And it kind of makes it hard for me to be overly impressed by anything he does. But yeah, it was an okay match. It was okay.
Okay. All right. Backstage, we have Damian Priest to briefly talk about Aleister Black before Kit Wilson interrupts him for our weekly beatdown on Kit Wilson. Kit says he will overthrow the toxic aggression era, stands up from his wheelchair, but then gets pushed back down into the chair, and then Priest just wheels the chair off camera, and then we hear Kit crashing into things. And then Priest makes the challenge to Black for a last man standing match for next week. I chuckled a little bit when he you know, pushed the wheelchair off camera. I thought that was kind of ha. Anyways, we have another solo Sikoa segment, and you guessed it. This is where he puts over your second favorite Tongan.
Oh, God.
Tala Tonga. Tala says he loves Solo. But, you know, there's an interesting part about the end of this vignette, because Solo says there's something missing. And when Solo finds it, everyone is on notice. Now, I really hope this is the return of Tama Tonga, because he is my favorite Tongan of the bunch. Now, so any thoughts on Aleister Black and Damian Priest and Kit Wilson and Solo Sikoa and the Timu bloodline?
Okay, so the Kit Wilson segment was kind of hilarious. I like this guy. He's hilarious. It's funny. Beyond that, the Solo Sikoa segment, I have a lot to say, but I'm not really gonna get into it. I think I've beat that horse to death. But I will say this, like, okay, so I wasn't a big fan of JC Mateo and Toller, right? And I talked crap about them several times. And then they took them off TV. So I'm like, okay, awesome. They're taking them off TV to give them time to do something with them that's going to entertain me for a change. And then Solo starts coming out with these vignettes where he has, Tongaloa was the first one?
Yep.
And he's like, Tongaloa, he's like, you're the only family member that I have left. And I'm like, oh, great. So finally Toller and JC's going to, you know, hopefully they come back better than ever or whatever, but like they're gone for now. And then all of a sudden he starts bringing in the rest of them. And it's like every week he's got a new one added. What is the point of this, Vic? They're keeping them off TV for no reason. They're going to bring them back. It's going to be the same Wish.com bloodline that we had before. Why are they keeping them off TV for one? They're not getting any better by being off TV. They're not changing anything. This is just like we've been gone for a while, and now we're going to slowly, it's going to creep in, and everybody's going to come back. And next week it's going to be, some other guy. What's the point?
I imagine they're going to feud with somebody. And if then maybe it'll be Sami Zayn, because I believe when it first started is because Sami beat Solo for the U.S. title.
Yeah,
but they have since not talked about Sami at all, though.
I just don't know why I should be excited for this. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not something that excites me. I wanted them to, if they come back and they're something's drastically different, but like the vignettes do not point to something being drastically different. It points to the same thing. They're just keeping them off TV for whatever reason. I don't know. It pissed me off, Vic. It pissed me off.
Yeah,
that's what it did. I'm mad.
All right. So Cody makes his way to the ring. When we cut to the Street Profits, we find out that they have a tag team title match next week. They say they're on the same page and fighting for each other, and they want the smoke. Then the TV behind them makes some static noises, and the Wyatt Six appear on the TV. Ooh. Eric Rowan talks about, he's doubting their ability to work together. And then they start cackling, and they say run, or they all start cackling. He says run. Here's where I'm a little confused. Are the Wyatts supposed to be heels here? Because it comes off like, like they're the spooky, evil tag team that the Street Profits need to, put aside their differences to overcome. But I don't know. I thought the Wyatts get cheers every time they come out. They don't really act heelish, do they? What do you think?
I think they are definitely supposed to be the heels here, Vic.
Okay.
Maybe they don't come off as. I mean, it's kind of hard to boo them because they came out of the whole Bray Wyatt thing.
Yeah.
But I think that they're definitely supposed to be, the evil doers here.
What's there to hate? I don't feel like there's much to hate. And I'm not just saying that because I like the horror aspect of it, but they haven't done anything like dastardly.
Yeah, that's true. They need to do some more dastardly shit.
Yeah. Anyways, so that interrupted Cody's entrance, but now we have a match this is our main event. We have Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton against the Bronze, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Orton starts the match. He clotheslines Braun over the ropes, and we go to break. we come back, and Bronson is in the ring now with Orton. Bronson misses a corner shoulder tackle, which allows Orton to tag in Cody. Cody is a house of fire. He takes out both heels, does a dive through the ropes. The crowd is cheering for him, but Breaker cuts him off from behind. Cody goes for another disaster kick, but Bronson catches him into the world's strongest slam. Braun Breaker comes in and charges the ropes, clotheslines Cody out of his boots. The heels take their time beating on Cody to get some heat. This goes on for a while, and Orton's just sitting there waiting for the hot tag. Finally Randy gets tagged in. He hits his trademark power slam on both, which I like how he sells his back when he does it to Bronson.
Yeah.
And Bronson gets up and hits a jagged edge for a 2. Orton hits an odd-looking suplex to Bronson off the top rope, which I thought was really awkward and weird, but whatever. Braun Breaker basically cannonballs into Cody from the apron through the barricade. And then Heyman distracts the ref, which allows Seth to come in and stomp Orton, followed by a tsunami from Bronson, and we get the 1, 2, 3. By this point, I was burnt out on tag team matches. I think they should have inserted one of the singles matches between at least one of those tag team matches. The match itself was all right. There's some old school heat in the middle and some good action. And then Rollins tries to stomp Cody after the match, but eats a crossroads for his troubles. And that's how we end the show. But yeah, I mean, like I said, just too many. Before this, we had, where we got here before that? We had Javon Evans and Rey Fenix versus Los Garza. And before that, we had Chelsea and Alba versus Sol Ruca and Zaria. It's 3 tag team matches in a row. I wish they'd throw in at least one singles match between at least one of them just to break up the monotony.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Well, I mean, and I have the same opinion of that, man, and we'll continue on to that with Raw, but it's just too much of the tag teams, and the tag team matches don't mean as much because the tag team titles don't mean as much right now, so it's kind of lame.
Yeah.
You know, they could do so much more if they just integrated the belts into this a little bit more and made them more important. But I thought the match was solid. I mean, shit, you got Cody Rhodes, you got Randy Orton in there, you got the Brawns, and they're doing great. I, too, liked the spot where he was selling his back after he did it to Bronson Reed. You know, it made me think of the No Mercy where, like, every move you do on somebody turns into a power slam when they're super heavyweights. But yeah, I mean, it was a, you know, for this show, for a SmackDown, I'm sure for the crowd there, it was a good, solid main event, but it wasn't anything to write home about. It was, you know, it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah, so thus concludes SmackDown from October the 3rd in Cincinnati, Ohio. Too many tag team matches, is all I got to say.
Woo!
Tell him, Hawk.
Well.
I
got to get that well down. I got to figure it out. So now we're moving on to Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw was, I don't know where it was because I didn't put the note. Dallas, Texas. Yeah, well, I have it here in my notes, but I don't have it in my note. I have it in part of my notes. So anyway, we opened the show with Monday Night Raw from October the 6th, 2025, 3 days ago. We opened the show with Roman Reigns heading to the ring for a promo, apparently. All he gets out is Dallas, Texas, acknowledge me, before Bronson Reed hits the stage with Heyman in tow. Paul Heyman accuses Reigns of being scared of Reed, saying he's never been beaten so bad as he was by Reed when he had to be stretchered out at SummerSlam. And of course, that is one little bit of news that we may have skipped over.
It's fake news.
That is fake news. He was stretchered out one other time by Braun Strowman.
I'm not finished with you.
And Braun Strowman tweeted to him, I believe he called him Oswald Cobblepot. Yeah.
That's funny because I always refer to Paul Heyman as the Penguin anyways.
He looks just like him.
Yeah.
But then we get Reed. He says Roman's dad nor his uncle, talking about Offen Sika, 45 years in the business, ever got stretchered out. Roman says his dad would tell him to fight them now. But Heyman instead says they should have an Australian street fight at Crown Jewel. Roman accepts. Reed heads down to the ring, but Roman gets the better of the quick skirmish to end the segment. I thought that the announcement of the match in particular gave me vibes of the Irish match that we had previously with Sheamus and Rusev. I don't even remember what that was called.
The Irish match?
The Irish bar match.
I believe that was a Donnybrook.
Donnybrook, the old-fashioned Donnybrook match. So, I got to say, I'm not very excited about this one. I didn't really enjoy their match at SummerSlam. I thought it went way too long and it was lackluster, and I don't really get the point of putting a theme or a gimmick on street fight matches. What did you think, Vic?
Well, I'm with you on these short builds need to go because come on, you're gonna announce this match 5 days before the actual show, and it's Roman Reigns in the match too. And 5 days before the match.
Yeah.
Anyways, I did like the Paul Heyman said something about drunken Samoans, which I thought was funny. I don't have the exact verbiage, but he was talking about how, he's seen Roman get into fights at drunken barbecues with a bunch of other Samoans or something like that, and he didn't get stretchered out from that. Paul Heyman is great as always. Like I will. I mean, I'm going to say that there every single week. Every time you put a mic in his hand, it's gold. He's gonna keep shitting out gold.
Yes.
Bronson doesn't do anything for me though on the mic so far. But I will say this: I felt some real genuine emotion when Roman says that he was talking about his father, what his father would do. So then they talked about how this is going to be an Australian street fight. What's an Australian street fight?
Like I said, I'm thinking it's a copy of the Donnybrook. They're going to have maybe some kangaroos ringside to kick them. And
some koalas, maybe?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, some stingrays and, I don't know, whatever is in Australia.
Do you have a favorite Australian street fight match you've ever seen?
I can't say that I do. There's been so many.
I know. There's been quite the pantheon of Australian street fights over the years.
Well, that's what Paul Heyman was like. He made himself famous by these Australian street fights. It's like, when? When did that happen? I don't know. But that's it, man. And then we're going to another backstage. Well, this is a backstage segment. That was an in-ring segment. And we get Asuka screaming at Adam Pearce to make a match between Io Sky and Kairi Sane. Kairi walks up and tells Asuka she doesn't want to fight Io. Asuka slaps the shit out of Kairi and says the match is happening. Then she tells her she better win. I thought this was pretty intense. I didn't see that slap coming, so it really caught me off guard. Asuka got some heat for me with that one. And, she's becoming a bigger heel each week and less of a comedy act, and I'm here for it. I love seeing her become this monster. I seen something earlier today, Vic, that somebody pointed out that the centipede that's on her face that she paints on there, each week it's getting longer and longer.
Oh.
I know, somebody noticed that. Now, I can't confirm because I haven't noticed it myself, but somebody noticed that each week it's getting longer and she's getting more and more vile and nasty. So she's becoming the human centipede, Vic.
So what? She's gonna be sewed to somebody, and somebody's gonna be sewed to her, and
I hope not. That's
okay.
That's messed up.
But that's funny. I had that written down too. I was gonna put over Asuka's face paint because I thought the giant centipede caterpillar thing, whatever it was, would look really good. But I'm surprised you didn't mention Adam Pearce needing a drink after having to deal with Asuka. I don't know if you caught that line.
No, I didn't catch that one. I thought maybe he needed a drink a little bit later in the night, but not here. I didn't catch that.
But while I was watching this, I'm like, what happened to the subtitles? We had subtitles last week. Well, they do come up later on in the night.
I thought the subtitles were specific for the pre-recorded segments because it's kind of weird to have subtitles for something that's supposed to be live, right?
I mean, was it live?
Good question. The world may never know. Anyway, we're going to go ahead to a match between Becky Lynch and Maxine Dupree. Now, this is a match that a lot of people have been talking about because, well, Maxine Dupree won this match and by countout, but she won it nonetheless. So we go to the match. Becky is slapping Maxine about 15 times. Then Maxine tries to throw a punch but can't get it in on time, so it looks like shit. Becky stomps. By the way, I'm going to pause for just a moment. I do want to say, everybody was talking about how Maxine did so good in this match. I'm not in that group. The last few minutes were okay. The last few minutes were all right, but the first of it was rough. Anyway, back to the match. Becky stomps Maxine in the corner, a little mud hole stomping. Maxine continues looking like shit during her offense, throwing super weak punches, botching that early drop kick, and just moving overall sloppily around the ring. After the break, Maxine gets off a string of offense that looks halfway decent. She hits a cool-looking kip up, and she slaps the ankle lock on Becky. Maxine lands a power bomb and gets a near fall, but Becky meets her at the top turnbuckle and hits a superplex. There's an awkward-looking series of pins, reversals, and near falls before the gals fight ringside, with Becky taunting the ref each time she returns to the ring to break the count. Becky is out on the announce table pandering to the crowd while the ref counts to 10, and those last few seconds were quick because the ref had had enough of Becky's shenanigans, with Maxine rolling back in just in time. And again, I'll reiterate, the first several minutes of this match was rough, but the last few were not terrible, with Maxine getting several near falls, one that was so close it had me questioning whether Becky kicked out in time or not. I also liked the way they ended the match with a count-out victory for Maxine instead of an expected Becky dominance or some shady DQ. So, not enough count-out victories these days, Slick Vic. I feel like that was a good, solid little match despite the botches, and I thought the last few minutes in the ending wrapped it all up. What did you think about this one, man?
All right, so I have more notes about this match than any other match of the evening.
Let's hear them.
Because this was a very surprising match. First of all, I'm going to say parts of it I agree with you, because Maxine Dupree still comes off very green. The shoving looked weak as hell. The arm drags looked bad. Becky had to do a lot of shuffling to get in place, especially for that Luthez press. But then something happened, like a switch got turned, and Maxine looked pretty good, especially in like the last few minutes of the match. Like they really got me on some of those false finishes, and then I was like, is Becky actually going to lose? There was a part where I wrote that Becky uses the Prime bottle with a love tap, which was both funny and weak looking. I don't know if you caught that. She just basically like lightly jabbed her like a Sid Vicious style chair shot. I don't know if you remember Sid's chair shots. Anyways, I walked in thinking this was going to be a 5 to 7 minute match where Becky looks dominant. Instead, there was a ton of near falls, and I was like, shit, like Becky might lose. But actually she did lose by count out though. But I was, like I said, really surprised by this match, because I don't know if Becky deserves all the credit here or not, but this was not what I expected, and for the right reasons, for good reason too. I didn't think this was a fantastic match or anything like that, because like I said, Maxine still looks sloppy at times, but this is not what I was expecting, and I was thoroughly entertained, especially the last 5 minutes of the match.
All right, good analysis, Vic, and that seems to be the consensus from most people that I saw in the reviews and things. We get a backstage segment with Lyra Valkyria. She's telling Bayley that she wants her to accompany her to the ring. Bayley excitedly hypes up Lyra as they head through the curtain. Then we have the match, Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez. Some good hard-hitting back and forth between these two for the first few minutes. Roxanne targets the left arm of Lyra for much of the match, and Lyra continues to sell it throughout, which I thought was really good, really nice selling that arm. Bayley tries to get involved at one point, but it doesn't get Lyra a win. Raquel takes out Bayley on the outside. Roxanne hits a spinning DDT to Lyra on the outside, then hits Pop Rocks in the middle of the ring for the win. And again, I really like that Lyra sold the arm throughout. I feel like these days they go to work on something and it's just like they forget about it. And I hate that. I'm glad she did. That got plus points for me from Lyra. But I think both gals did pretty good here. It's not a match anyone will remember for anything, but it wasn't bad. What say you, Mr. Slick Vic?
Well, I will say this. Lyra hit a really nice delayed, well, the commentators called it a fisherman suplex, but no. It's the perfect plex, baby.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so But overall, I thought this was an okay match. Lyra gets to show off some strength, working with a smaller opponent. But the story, as it's always been for the last few weeks, is Bayley. We didn't get a snap at the end from Bayley, so there was no new developments. So, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see how long they're gonna drag this out. But like I said earlier, decent match. Okay, nothing crazy. I don't have a lot of notes. Like I said, I liked the delayed perfect plex, which was a big highlight for me.
Oh yeah, you like that video I sent you earlier, Mr. Perfect playing chess?
Yeah. There's plenty of those vignettes with Mr. Perfect back in the day.
Because he's like, "You lost. You're a loser. I'm the winner."
Yeah,
there's
awesome. One where he throws a football and then catches it.
Yeah, he runs the entire length of the football field and catches it. Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah,
so perfect. Anyway,
absolutely perfect. Sorry.
We go to a backstage segment. AJ Styles is being interviewed about his upcoming match with Cena at Crown Jewel when the Judgment Day members show up. Dom is wearing a shirt of himself as a kid playing PSP this was back during his debut year in WWE, for those of you who don't know. 20-year veteran.
I know.
Some back and forth words between JD and Styles leads to Styles saying he's going to Adam Pearce to ask for a 6-man tag match. Then we see Styles with Dragon Lee. They run into Penta backstage, and they ask him to be their partner. Then all of a sudden, there's some girls that start fighting out of nowhere, and Adam Pearce has an aneurysm trying to break it up. Thoughts? Not happy about this. Too many multi-man matches in recent weeks, and I find nothing to be very excited about with this one. Vic, you got any thoughts? Shall we move on?
No, I got a few thoughts. First,
all right.
There was this brief segment with Roman and the Usos, which I don't think he touched on, but I am really, really invested in the storyline here. With how Jay is gonna do. What's Jay gonna do? Is he gonna turn? I mean, he seems to be taking Roman's advice, where he's got to look out for himself, and he even said Roman's like, "Who's in the top of the hour of this show?" And he goes, CM Punk. Well,
yes,
that was good stuff. This has me intrigued on where it's going. Does Jay turn? What does Jimmy do? How does Roman look after this? But then the backstage segment with AJ Styles and the Judgment Day. Yeah, I love Dom's shirt. In my mind, I really hope he's playing Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker on that PSP. But that doesn't make a lot of sense because that picture was taken from 2005 and Peace Walker came out in 2010. So, yeah. So I have no idea what the hell he's playing. Also, you talked about AJ Styles and Dragon Lee recruiting Penta. Did you mention that one already?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we see Bayley getting beat up, or Bayley and Lyra beating up Raquel. Pierce breaks it up and is yelling his head off. Always fun to hear Pierce just fucking lose his shit. I think it's hilarious. It's funny because there was a brief little segment where CM Punk walks backstage and we see Rusev arguing with Pierce in the background too. That was fun.
Yeah.
Just a slight little tidbit, which I thought was amusing.
All right, awesome. Then we go to an in-ring segment. This is CM Punk. He comes down to the ring. The announcers are asking, what's next for CM Punk? And Punk says, basically, that he wants to get his World Heavyweight title back. LA Knight comes down to the ring and says he deserves a world title reign and that he's never been pinned by Seth Rollins, while CM Punk has been beaten by him several times now. Jey Uso comes out and says he never got his rematch and should be next, etc., etc. I'm summarizing, obviously. My thoughts. This was a long, for the most part for me, Vic, this was a boring segment. Of course, the crowd loves seeing CM Punk, and Punk delivers a great line back tonight with the same guy who never, ever, 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 ever held a world heavyweight title. That was a good line. And it left Knight speechless for about 20 seconds. But whenever Jay came out, I honestly just kind of lost interest, man. I'm losing interest in Jay week by week, and I was lost on this one. Were you a fan of this, Slick Vic?
I freaking loved this promo.
Okay.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
First of all, I caught this live, and when I went back to rewatch this on Netflix, they cut out the first thing that CM Punk said because they're in Texas, and Punk said, "Tell me if you can finish this line." I don't know how familiar you are with Texas lore, but it's like, "The stars at night are big and bright." No. Anyways.
No. I do remember him saying something like that, but no, I'm not a big Texas guy, I guess.
I swear to God, I replayed this on Netflix earlier, and they cut that out. I was so disappointed.
Wow, why would they cut that out?
I don't know. I remember, do you ever see Pee-wee's Big Adventure? And this is cut a little side bar.
No. No.
Anyways, Pee-wee's in Texas, and he's talking on the phone to his girlfriend, and she doesn't believe him. And he's like, "Look, I'll prove it." He sticks his head out the phone booth and goes, "The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas." Which all the locals with cowboy hats say with him.
Yeah. Okay.
So I got a good kick out of that. And then, but it's funny because CM Punk basically buried the Crown Jewel titles. He said, "This is just for brand dominance and ego." He's like, "I hope nobody in the back is mad at me for saying that."
Yeah.
And then LA Knight comes out, and he makes a compelling case for why he should be challenging Seth. And I like how Knight says Punk was known for pipe bombs, but now he's known for being a husband. But then he immediately walks back and says, "No, that's okay, but he's a trash champion." And then Seth keeps beating him. He's never been. And then Punk replies with, you've never ever been world champion," or something like that. I want to see this feud. I want to see an LA Knight and CM Punk feud. Both baby faces, both just laying into each other as hard as they can. I think it would make for a really, really entertaining feud. Yes, then Jay came out, and Jay was not as interesting. But Knight was roasting him hard. I thought that was hilarious. And he's like, "I'm sorry." He apologized to Jimmy for catching some shrapnel.
Yeah.
And then LA Knight gets super kicked for his trouble because he called him Little Roman. I'm sorry, CM Punk called him Little Roman. And then Jimmy super kicks Punk. So I thought it was fun. I thought I had a blast with this one. So yeah,
Good times.
My thoughts. Yeah.
Good times. We get a pre-recorded segment next. This is Io Sky with some useful subtitles. And basically she talks about Asuka being her hero, being the reason that she was ever wanted to wrestle, and, being a champion, but saying that Rio was right in the end. I didn't really have any thoughts on this. This is just kind of furthering that feud with Asuka and Io and Rhea and building their Magic Crown Jewel. And, it's cool that we get the subtitles. I'm excited when I see the subtitles now. Then we have a match between Io Sky and Kairi Sane. So the match goes on. Io goes flying to the outside at Asuka before the match starts. Once the bell rings, Io and Kairi fire off a series of counters on each other, with Io landing a backflip attack on Kairi to the outside and into a commercial break. When we come back from the commercial break, we get a replay of an Alabama Slam. They didn't call it an Alabama Slam, but that's exactly what she does. That Kairi hit on Io that looked sickening. She whipped her head right onto the ring apron. Her head and her neck. It looked gross. Io gets the upper hand again and hits a missile drop kick from the top turnbuckle. Some more back and forth. Kairi goes for an insane elbow, but Io gets her feet up to counter. Asuka gets involved, and Kairi rolls up Io, with Asuka holding her hands to keep Io from kicking out and picking up the win. So it was a decent match. Both women did great while selling the fact that they didn't want to fight each other through their facial expressions. I'm looking forward to the tag match at Crown Jewel. I feel like Kairi may end up turning on Asuka after tonight's happenings. Slick Vic, your thoughts?
I don't have a lot to say about this. I did like the dive, which the match started with Io immediately diving for Asuka, which I thought was really cool. And that Alabama slam onto the side of the ring, oof, devastating. Good stuff. You had a really good adjective earlier for it, but it was really hard.
Sickening.
Sickening is a good way to put it. Anyways, great counter from the butterfly suplex to the forearm attack by Kairi. Like I said, both women looked pretty good. They had some strong moves, and it was fun to watch for the most part.
All right, sweet. We get a backstage segment. Well, no, actually, this is a pre-recorded segment. This is a video package, which we've been getting these, sporadically. But this is a video package of the history between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes over the last several years. This one package alone, in my opinion, built their match at Crown Jewel better than anything else that they've done so far. And we've talked about multiple times how great these video packages they put together are. And this match actually means something now. It's not just champion versus champion, which I love. This isn't just about who's better, who's the better top champion. It's a continuation of something that has already had this history over the last several years that we don't have to go way back in time to figure out, or they weren't doing something on some other wrestling program. It's been all right here in the WWE, so it's easy to pick up on and care about more than just the titles, which I appreciate. Going forward from that, we get a backstage segment. Becky Lynch is complaining about losing to Maxine Dupree earlier, and Seth Rollins is just standing there, just looking at his watch. He's not saying anything until Becky leaves, and then Seth Rollins asks Paul Heyman, what if he doesn't beat Cody Rhodes this Saturday? Heyman assures him that he will win, but says that if he loses, that he will lose the faith of the Vision and become nothing more than a secondary champion, and that Heyman will have to ask himself why he picked Rollins over Roman Reigns. My thoughts on this, this just upped the ante quite a bit. I kind of want to see Cody win this one now, just to see how the fallout of the Vision carries out from here. Because, obviously, if Seth wins, nothing happens. But if Cody wins, we've already got this little thing building here within the Vision that, hey, something is going to fall apart. So I like it. I like that idea. Vic, what are your thoughts on these? Do you have any thoughts on the backstage segment with Becky Lynch?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say the Cody and Seth video package part 2,
yes,
also excellent. But yeah, the backstage segment, as soon as Becky went away, Becky didn't really say much of importance. She's just, talking about her match with Maxine Dupree and just,
pissed off,
yeah. But I loved how serious it got once she left. Heyman here was excellent, as always, saying how Seth has to win or he loses the locker room, he loses the Vision, he loses Bloodline. He loses the locker room and everything, and the Vision, not the Bloodline. Anyways, then Heyman even teases leaving Seth if he loses. We'll get to my picks for that match at the later on tonight, but I really liked this segment. Like I said, when it got really serious and I was compelled, and yes, I am really excited for this match because we've talked about this in the past where this Crown Jewel show is just kind of a meaningless show, but there's a lot of history, a lot of heat going into the men's match. Can't say the same for Tiffany and Stephanie, but whatever, it is what it is. But these two have a long, lengthy history that extends beyond the belts, beyond their titles, beyond the Crown Jewel titles. This means a lot to these guys, so I'm excited.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Slick Vic. We go to another backstage segment. Boy, this show is filled with backstage segments. As Roman Reigns stands by, Jay is telling Jimmy that he needs to recognize whose side he's on. Jimmy tells Roman that they aren't like him. Reigns tells Jimmy that whenever Jay won the world title, he became more like Roman and less like Jimmy. Reigns tells Jimmy that if he really wants to help his brother, to get out of his way. Any thoughts, Vic?
I love the drama. Like I said, I'm intrigued. I'm really, really intrigued what they're doing here. So I'm all in. I dig it. I dig it, brother.
I'm already sold, but they continue to build this one, and I appreciate that. We go forward to a match. This is the 6-man tag team match, and I'm really not looking forward to this. Oh, my God. Even though I love Senior Monday Night, Penta, and AJ Styles, obviously, man, it's just, these are so hard to follow sometimes. But anyway, Penta with Dragon Lee and AJ Styles versus the Judgment Day members of Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough. We get about 30 seconds of action, ending with each member of Team Styles delivering flying attacks to each member of the Judgment Day on the outside before another commercial break. Team Styles is ruling the roost until Dom tags in, with the crowd heavily in his favor. I don't know if you caught that, Vic, but everybody was cheering for Dom.
They sure were. He's so over in Dallas.
Yeah, big time. Keeping Dragon Lee in their corner, the Judgment Day pour on the offense with multiple tags in and out. Then we're into a second commercial break for this match. Jesus Christ. Chaos ensues back from the break with everyone fighting everyone. Dom starts to go for a 619 on Styles, but is halted by the approaching Rusev coming down the ramp. Styles ends up hitting the Styles Clash on JD McDonough for the win. And post-match, Styles pumps up his match with Cena at Crown Jewel, stating they don't need a storyline for their match and it will kick ass. It's kind of cringe, but there wasn't much about this match that was that great or memorable for me. Several superstars here that in singles or even 2-on-2 tag matches usually have some great moments, but it just gets a bit crowded with a 6-man in a regular top match. What did you think about this one, Vic?
The match was pretty good. I mean, I had fun with it. I mean, everyone got their shit in. There's one spot that stuck out to me that I particularly liked is when the Judgment Day took turns tagging themselves in, and each would perform a springboard move on Dragon Lee, one after another. I thought that was fun. I like Dom's chicken shit antics when Rusev showed up. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Penta is the only wrestler on the WWE roster that does a destroyer.
Yes.
Because you know, every time I watch an episode of Botchamania, or you know, they show like a clip from like some indie wrestling fed, everyone does the freaking destroyer. Even go back to 2019, man. I don't know if you watched NWA Power when it was on YouTube. Even Ricky Morton did a freaking destroyer. Ricky Morton from the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah.
He did a destroyer.
Oh my
which is
God.
freaking hilarious. This move should be protected. This move should be used sparingly and not have 25 people on the roster do it. And not through 25 tables and then still get a kick out.
Yeah, well, this is an AEW, so we don't got to worry about that.
I'm glad that Penta's destroyer is protected. I don't think he hit it this match, but this was I had fun with this one. I like Dom. I like Penta. But then the whole AJ and Cena build, I like AJ's trying his best to say, hey man, we don't need no story. We don't need no stinking feud going into this match. I kind of disagree. I mean, I kind of wish Cena and him had at least one promo battle before the match.
They need it.
We haven't seen Cena since SummerSlam.
Maybe we'll get it tomorrow on SmackDown. Maybe they'll do something on SmackDown to hype it a little bit the night before. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I feel you. I think that they should have been building it. Maybe throw a video package together, something of their previous, things that have been going on.
I think there was like some video package maybe at some point, but I'd like to see them at least verbally spar. And we have, like I said, we haven't seen Cena since WrestlePalooza.
Yeah.
I'm not upset that we're not. I'm not upset that we're gonna have the match. I think it's gonna be a great match. I mean, AJ is kind of guaranteed it when he said we're gonna leave it all in the middle of that ring. So
yeah.
Hopefully we get another good one, because these two have got great chemistry and they're 2-2 right now.
Yeah, two of the greats. It should be a good match. Then we got the main event, Slick Vic. Are you ready for the main event?
Ready as I'm gonna be.
Tag team match. Another tag team, another multi-man fiasco for our viewing pleasure. We got the Usos versus CM Punk and LA Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God, don't I have a yeah on here? Where's the yeah? Yeah! There we go. Usos with the tandem offense in their corner coming out of the break. So, my first notes are after the first commercial break. That tells you how many friggin' commercials are in this thing. Punk is hopping the tag in his corner. Knight finally gets off a neck break. By the way, I am kind of so sick of this. Every time they have a tag team match, they milk the shit out of the tag for the guy that everybody wants to see. And I understand why they do that. It's you want to see him get in, and he's not getting in. And he gets close to getting in, and then he doesn't get in. Mix it up a little bit at least. That's all I'm saying. Punk is hopping the tag in his corner. Knight finally gets off a neck breaker to allow the hot tag to Punk, with Jay tagging in Jimmy as well. Punk hits a running knee, followed by a fairly sloppy big elbow drop from the top turnbuckle. His elbow drop is not good. Jay's back in. He gets a splash, but the pin is broken up by Knight. Jay has Punk down, but goes for a cheap shot to Knight on the apron, giving Punk the opportunity to get up and hit a GTS on Jay. Knight tags himself in, a la Mello Don't Miz, and pins Jay for the win. Thought this was a fairly short match, but the point was driven home. Punk and Knight's animosity was there in the end, with that self-tag in to steal the pin. It was interesting seeing Jimmy taking on Knight here, as they've been fairly cooperative in recent weeks. So I did find that to be probably, in my opinion, the most interesting part of this whole match, was seeing Jimmy and Knight fight each other, because they've kind of been pals lately. What do you think of this main event fiasco, Slick Vic?
You know, I agree with a lot of your sentiments there, Senor Mosley.
Huh.
Punk, and I liked how Punk and Knight were tagging each other by just slapping each other's chests. There was this nice suplex reversal. I think you mentioned this. The suplex reversal into the neck breaker by Knight to Big Jim was cool. The Usos almost hit a demolition style finisher, where one of them had Knight on his knee, and the other one came down with like a fist drop, as opposed to a knee drop, which is what Demolition used to do. Anyways, and I think we've talked about this. Actually, you just mentioned it right now. The whole Punk's elbow drop is not good.
It looks like shit.
No, there's a lot of Bailey does an elbow drop.
Hers is decent.
But nobody comes close to Macho Man. Macho Man flew like a dove. He flew like a freaking dove. He's got such grace.
So graceful.
When he dropped that elbow, Punk looks like he's just, slipping on a banana peel when he jumps off that top rope.
Yeah, Mario Kart.
Yeah,
Ran straight over the banana peel.
Who else does an elbow drop? I'm missing a few people. I remember. I remember Test doing an elbow drop. But
an elbow drop from the top. I don't know. Somebody else has a good one, and I can't think of him right now either.
Did Jay Lethal do one?
I'm talking about like current. Somebody doesn't. Somebody else does an elbow drop. I can't think of it.
I feel like somebody else does an elbow drop that we don't talk about.
It'll come to us.
Yeah, but Punk's not good. Not good.
And it's surprising too. You would think Punk would have a more graceful, more,
Yeah.
appropriate elbow drop, but he does not, unfortunately. But anyway, Slick Vic, that was the Raw review from October the 6th, 2025. And that's going to be all the reviews this week. We're going to be moving on to a couple more segments here very soon. Oh, don't get the crystal ball ready just yet, Vic. We're not there just yet because I want to talk about this day in wrestling history. You've got something for us, and it's something that I think a lot of the fans out there will appreciate. What happened on this day in wrestling history, Vic?
Rikishi did it for The Rock.
He did it for The Rock.
I did it for the people. Yes, on this day in, what was it, 2000? 2000.
Probably 2001.
God, I had it written down a second ago too.
Probably 2000. 2002,
Yeah,
2001, 2002,
no,
something like that.
He got hit in 99. I believe it was 2000.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, Rikishi on this episode of Raw was revealed to be the one that drove the car that hit Stone Cold Steve Austin at Survivor Series 1999. Rikishi was in the ring with The Rock and Commissioner Mick Foley, who was conducting a investigation on who hit Stone Cold Steve Austin with the car. And he came to the conclusion that it was a very large man who sat in that seat. And sure enough, it was Rikishi. And Rikishi didn't deny it. He immediately said, yeah, I did it. I did it for The Rock. Did it for the people. And that was kind of a anticlimactic thing. It was a kind of, I don't want to say disappointing. It was disappointing because we were like, really? Rikishi?
Yeah.
We had this year-long build and Rikishi.
Yeah, Rikishi.
It did not take long for them to pivot and say Triple H was the mastermind who hired Rikishi to do it, so they can just have Austin feud with Triple H instead.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of this? Does any of this
Yes.
ring a bell?
Absolutely. I remember when Austin got ran over, and I remember being concerned. I was like, what? Because then Stone Cold was gone. You know, he got ran down and he was out for a while. I don't know if the real reason was he had to have surgery or something like that.
Yeah, his neck was beat up pretty badly. So,
Yeah, so
I don't know if he actually did get. I think he did get the surgery then. Yeah.
Yeah, they took him out of action for a while, and then they, eventually it's Rikishi. Rikishi did it, and like you said, it was pretty anticlimactic. You expect it to be either somebody coming back or just another main event star that wants to take Austin out because he wants Austin's spot, but it's Rikishi. And I don't remember, Vic, maybe you can help me with this. Rikishi was involved in a Hell in a Cell match. And very famously falls off the cell into a truck full of hay. Was that part of this?
That actually took place a month later.
So this was after the fact. So this was part of it.
I should say 2 months later. That was in December. When Rikishi was revealed to be in October 9th of 2000. Yeah.
Okay, so I would think that would have a direct effect on Rikishi being in that Hell in the Cell match then, right?
Yeah.
But I remember all that, very vividly.
Most of 2000, Rikishi was spent in Too Cool dancing every night.
Yeah.
And then one week they decided, you know what? No, this guy ran over Austin.
Rikishi ran over Stone Cold.
Yeah. The guy that dances and shakes his ass every night. No, that guy ran over Austin.
Yeah, it was him. It was me, Austin. It was me all along.
It was me all along.
But when you mentioned that to me earlier about, doing this day in wrestling history, and that was Rikishi was revealed. I have very vivid memories of that, obviously, and I said way back in our first episode that I came up during the Attitude Era in those early days of 98 through 2000, 2001. So, yeah, that's one that sticks out to me big time.
Right.
Did you ever play the WWF arcade game WrestleFest?
Yeah. I did play the game. Yeah, many times.
Okay. You know they're re-releasing it, right?
I did not.
So similar to the um similar to the arcades that we have. Actually, you know what? We'll go live for this. We'll go back online. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Pause for the cause is officially over. Vic, you seem in pretty good spirits over there.
I'm full of spirits.
Me too. I'm trying to find some information on this, Vic, but I wanted to mention something to you because we both are proprietors of the, well, I don't know if that's a good word, but we both own some home arcade machines, correct?
Yes, we do.
I have the original Arcade 1-Up Mortal Kombat arcade machine with the Mortal Kombat 2 art, as well as the Simpsons 4-player arcade machine in my home. And Vic, I talked you into, it took some convincing, but I talked you into buying one of the Mortal Kombat arcades as well. You have the Mortal Kombat 2 arcade.
Yes, I do. I have the one that has the about a dozen midway games as well.
Yep. Mine only has 3 games. It's MK1, MK2, and Ultimate 3. And it's not online. It doesn't have a light-up marquee, anything cool like that. But I said all that to say this, Vic. They have recently released, not Arcade 1-Up, this is from a company called Basic Fun, who are sort of, I guess, taking over the reins of these home arcade machines, have released a WWE WrestleFest arcade game.
Okay.
Yeah, so WWF WrestleFest was a video game made for arcade that was released in 1991. And, of course, it featured superstars from the World Wrestling Federation of the time. And I've seen this arcade a few times in movie theaters and things like that, but I never actually played it because, to me, it looked a lot like the Super Nintendo games, and I was never really good at those. Have you played this arcade, Vic?
Yes, I have. I have spent many quarters and tokens on WrestleFest in my youth. And I will say there is actually some similarities with the Super Nintendo games where there's the tug of war system where you grapple with your opponent and then you gotta just kind of mash the buttons and whoever mashes harder gets the offensive attack. And there's a lot of classic characters in the game. There's Hogan, Warrior, Mr. Perfect, Jake the Snake, Big Boss Man. You can even play as Demolition if you choose to. Yeah, but you have to choose them together. You can't just pick Axe or Smash. You have to play as Demolition.
Yeah. So and I understand there was also, apparently, according to this, there was a WWE WrestleFest that was released on February 21st, 2012 by THQ. It was a remake game for iOS under the name WWE WrestleFest. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the arcade, the home arcade game that is coming out, or maybe it's out. I don't know. There were some changes that were made to this, though, Vic. Obviously, they had to change the WWF logos to WWE. There are some other changes, though. There are some missing characters that I find kind of confusing as to why they would take out certain characters. So you mentioned Demolition, Axe and Smash. One of those characters, I can't find it right now, but one of those characters is replaced by Crush.
That makes sense. It might have actually been Crush in the game I played. The timeline probably matches better to when Crush took over for Axe.
Well, I think that that Crush. Hold on, Basic Fun. I don't know. It's on there. You can probably find it somewhere, but apparently one of the demolition was taken out, and now it's just like Axe and Crush without Smash, or like somebody's missing. Also, Sergeant Slaughter is missing from the game. I'm not sure why that is. I thought Sergeant Slaughter was a WWE staple IP.
He was definitely in the original game. I'm surprised to hear that he's not in that one.
Yeah, he was removed from that. But yeah, it's got a few omissions. I don't think there's any online play with this one. There is a countercade, a one-player countercade, but the home arcade game, it's not the same full size as an arcade, but it's it's the size of a home arcade. Run you about $600, Vic. How do you feel about that?
That's a lot of quarters, man. I can just go to my local arcade.
You have
for $5 and just have a good time for many hours.
With the original, with the WWF logos and everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to throw that out there for everybody. I'm a big fan of these home arcades. When I was growing up, I never played Mortal Kombat. I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan. We all know this. So is Slick Vic. Mm-hmm. And it was always a dream of mine to have a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade machine in my home. And they are so expensive to buy the actual arcades from back in the day, not to mention having to upkeep them, having to replace parts and things like that. It gets really, really expensive for just to have a big chunk of game in your home. And then Arcade 1-Up came out with these, smaller arcades that you can put in your home, and I thought that, man, that's really cool, and I finally got one, and it was awesome, and I love it. And just wanted to mention, though, for all the wrestling fans out there, that they have actually, this is coming out. This is a thing. You can have some WWE, some classic WWE WrestleFest in your house. Not in your house, but WrestleFest. So, there's that. I wanted to mention that. And now we are moving on to, what are we moving on to, Slick Vic? Why don't you tell the people what we're going to be looking at here today?
Well, I think it is time for the crystal ball to make an appearance. And yes, I hear the music. You all know, you listeners, longtime listeners of Wrestling with Power know what that music means. It can only mean one thing, and that means Slick Vic's Picks. Check out the crystal ball.
Slick Vic's been talking to that crystal ball a lot here lately.
Yeah. What's that line from Running Man? He's like, the saw is mine and I'm gonna make it yours. I can't remember. Anyways,
yes.
Yeah, I have gazed into the crystal ball and I've seen what it says. It could bring me a fortune, do me so well.
It could very well do you very well. Slick Vic, and as I mentioned earlier, this is our third or fourth time. I've got all of the notes somewhere buried here deep in my phone as far as where we're at with the averages and the percentages and how many you've got right and how many you've got wrong. That's not important. Right now, what's important is the picks. We'll talk about all the results next week on next week's episode. Right now, I just want to hear, what are your picks for Crown Jewel 2025 in Perth, Australia?
All right, let's lock it in. Let's make this official. Slick Vic's Picks for Crown Jewel Perth, Australia 2025. Now, we don't have a match order yet, so I'm just gonna kind of wing the order here. But I'm just gonna go ahead and start with Bronson Reed and Roman Reigns. Now, this was the hardest match to predict. They opened the last in WrestlePalooza. Did they not? Did they open WrestlePalooza?
Yes. Well, it wasn't WrestlePalooza, was it? It was SummerSlam.
SummerSlam. Apologies. Yeah. Okay. So, this was a hard one to predict, but I am going to, this might be a hot take. Fuck it. Bronson is going over. Now, Bronson Reed needs a big win. When was the last time Bronson had a big win? Like, never.
I don't know. He's been stuck in the tag team, which honestly I think that he's got a good spot with Braun Breaker in that tag team, especially when they come out wearing the similar attire and all that stuff. I think they could be a really great tag team if positioned right in that division. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about Bronson versus Roman, and you could be onto something here, Vic. Maybe he needs this big win, and maybe they segue into the tag team thing later on, and who knows?
What does Roman get by winning this match? Because he's already beaten Bronson Reed. He got the Shula Fala back.
Mm-hmm.
What is there for Roman to take back? What is there for Roman to regain? He's already got the Shula Fala.
It's a good point, man. I mean, Roman doesn't have anything to gain by beating Bronson Reed. He has nothing to gain. But he has everything to lose.
And they're in Australia.
Yeah.
Which is Bronson's home country.
Backyard.
So, Slick Vic is picking Bronson Reed to beat Roman Reigns. Whether or not it's clean or dirty, it does not matter. I predict we're going to get a 1, 2, 3 with Roman's shoulders on the ground.
We got a hot take, Slick Vic, in the chat. We have none other than the man himself, Mr. Kristen, the one that's always #1 fan. He has a hot take on that opinion of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, what?
Welcome.
Bronson going over? Nah, I think the only Aussie winning at Crown Jewel is Rhea. So, hot take from Kristen there. Vic, you know, this isn't my segment. These aren't my picks. I may withhold my opinion here, but I kind of feel like I would rather see Bronson Reed win. I would rather see Bronson Reed win clean because I think it would be so surprising if he did. However, I think that if Bronson Reed wins, which is a very good possibility for all of the reasons that you mentioned, he's going to get some help to do it. And maybe this is going to segue into maybe he's going to get help and then Roman's going to get help and then there's going to be a bunch of people involved and that is going to take us into War Games Survivor Series. So I think you're onto something there, Vic. And I will agree. I will say that Bronson Reed will take this one.
Look, even though this section of the show is my picks, I welcome your picks. I welcome your thoughts. I welcome your
musings.
We try to come up with a name. I think we settled on musings, Mosley's musings.
They don't count. They don't count.
I know, but I like to hear about it. Even if you contradict or play devil's advocate, I welcome all your opinions because I want to hear it. I really do.
Sweet, love it.
So the next match, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. Okay, again, a hometown hero with Rhea Ripley. She's been doing media all week. Not that means much, but I feel like the baby faces win when you make the crowd happy. I don't say you send the crowd home happy because this is not main eventing the show. But yeah, I am predicting that Rhea and Io, or Rio, I believe as the internet has affectionately termed them. Is that the right word? Anyways.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah. I predict the baby faces go over and everybody's happy. What do you think there, Mr. Mosley?
I think you're right about this. I'm not going to go against the grain here. I think Rhea and Io definitely get the win. And for all the reasons you mentioned, plus, I will even go as far as to say that there is going to be some dissension in the Kabuki Warriors here. Because of the slap heard around the world from Asuka to Kairi. I think that Kairi is going to either turn or not save Asuka from being pinned, or maybe even vice versa. Maybe Asuka doesn't save Kairi from being pinned, and that causes more dissension there. it's a good evolving storyline, and it's one of the top three easily storylines going on in WWE right now. And I think that in order to continue that storyline and to go the way that it needs to go, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky for the win.
All right. We are in agreement there. I think we might be divisive in this next one, but John Cena in his last match in Australia versus the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. Now, my thoughts, I don't have a lot of thoughts here, but if this is Cena's second to last match, I think he needs a win to get some momentum for his final match. And if that's the case, then yeah, John Cena is going over AJ Styles at Crown Jewel Perth. What about you? What are your musings think?
Oh, man. I really want to lean towards Cena for the reasons you mentioned. He needs to come back from that brutal beating that he got from Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza. But I think that AJ Styles is going to win. I'm going to call Styles on this one. For similar reasons that you mentioned, you think that John has to win so that he can get some momentum going into his final, I don't know, whatever he has, 2 matches left. And that's understandable. I get that. But AJ recently revealed that 2026 is going to be his last year in WWE. Do we want him going into that 2026 with a loss to John Cena after John Cena got absolutely routed by Brock Lesnar? Not so sure. I think that it would make for a decent story to have AJ Styles beat Cena and then Cena to come out and be like, I'm losing it. I got destroyed by Lesnar. I got beat by AJ Styles. What do I have left? Then maybe he can win a match going into his last match to kind of bring him back up. But I think that this one, as far as, John Cena's out the door. He doesn't necessarily need to win this one. Maybe his next one and then loses his last to put over somebody else would work. But I think that AJ could really use this because he's going to be around for a little bit longer.
Okay. The next match is for I guess it's the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. It's going to be between Stephanie Vicaire and Tiffany Stratton. All right. As I mentioned earlier in the show with their contract signing, there is little to no build here. It's just them patting each other on the back saying, hey, I respect you. I respect you too. But I'm going to win. Well, no, I'm going to win. There's no build here. So if I had to choose, I'm going to pick Stephanie Vicaire, because she's the new hot toy. And Tiffany's had that belt for God knows what. She's had the belt since January, maybe even earlier. I can't even remember, but she cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase and won it off Nia Jax a long time ago. And I think Tiffany's lost some of her luster. Stephanie Vicaire came in. And as I mentioned before, the Devil's Kiss is probably the most over move in the entire wrestling industry right now.
In the Slick Vic household.
Sure. So anyways, I am picking Stephanie Vicaire over Tiffany Stratton for the Crown Jewel Women's Championship. What say you, Mr. Mosley?
I agree. I think that Stephanie wins this one. I think that Stephanie... And for maybe it's a bare bones answer for some people, but I think Tiffany is good. Tiffany Stratton is good. There's a reason she's the champion. She's great. Everybody loves her. But in a match, Stephanie Vicaire versus Tiffany Stratton? I mean, seriously? Who wins that?
Stephanie.
Stephanie wins that. And that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as This is, just it comes down to pure in-ring talent and skill, and Stephanie gets this win. However they do the storyline surrounding this, however they do the fallout, however they do Tiffany Stratton dealing with a loss, whatever may be. Que sera, sera. But I think that Stephanie's good. La Primera wins this one. I do want to take a moment, Slick Vic, if we can, to address some of the comments we have here from Kristen, and we'll back up just a tad.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the Cena match, he said he could see Cena winning. Cena gets his 100th pay-per-view win in front of a big crowd in Australia. It would be a smart move. That's very true. Do you guys think Styles will extend his contract just enough so we can have a Styles retirement tour in 2026? I'm not sure exactly when his contract is supposed to be up. I know he came out and said that he would be retiring in 2026, so I'm assuming it would be through the end of the year.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that 2026 will be, I don't know if it'll be as glorious or as glamorous as the John Cena retirement tour has been.
No
and of
way.
course they kind of botched it with turning him heel and everything, which I don't know, I'm kind of indifferent about. I'm kind of glad they did it, but at the same time it didn't work. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how long his contract is. I don't know the specifics of that. And then he says, as far as the women's match, Stephanie wins, no doubt. They're slapping a rocket to Chilean Mommy. Vic will get a kick out of that.
Chilean Mommy.
Yeah.
There's only one Mommy on the roster.
Oh, that's true.
And that belongs to an Aussie.
Yeah, don't talk about Mommy like that.
And I'm not talking about Bronson Reed. I'm talking about freaking.
You want to smooch with Bronson Reed's Devil Kiss?
No, thank you. I'd rather have. I'd rather be smooched by the Devil's Kiss from Mommy or the Chilean Primera.
I would pay good money to see Stephanie Vaquer put you in the Devil's Kiss.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah? You'd want to see me get Devil's Kiss, huh?
I think it would be great. I think it would be awesome.
You're going to chant,
Yeah. You talk about you talk about promotion. We would have that all over the social medias.
I'd buy that for $1.
I bet you would. I bet you would.
I'd buy that for. I'm sorry. I just love that line. Yes.
That's a good one.
Oh man, if Stephanie ever hears this, hit me up.
Don't say that. Here in a minute, you're going to see a random tab come in with an elbow drop to the skull to Slick Vic over here.
She already yelled at me from across the room, so she heard it.
I heard her. It's fucked up.
Yeah, she's gonna give me the freaking, not the Devil's Kiss. She's gonna give me an RKO or something, or
the Stephanie slap, the finishing move from No Mercy, the Stephanie slap.
She's gonna be the Bray Wyatt neck snap. Is what she's
there you go.
Me.
Yeah. You get the Sister Abigail. Moving on, Slick Vic. What do we got left? All we got left is the men's Crown Jewel Championship, right?
Yep. We have Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes, and this is where I am picking Seth Rollins to finally get that elusive win over Cody Rhodes, because God, they're saying what he's 3-0 against Cody since he came back, and I believe with house shows it's like 22-0 or something like that. But yeah, I'm saying Seth Rollins wins. I mean, look at the promo we had on Raw last week with Heyman. Do you really think they're going to throw away all of the vision? They're just everything's going to go away because Seth loses this match. Paul Heyman teased about I'm going to have to reconsider my decision on why I chose Ryu over Roman Reigns. And you're going to lose all the respect in the locker room. You're going to lose the respect of everyone else. I mean, Cody has nothing to lose here. So I'm picking Seth Rollins to win because I feel like Seth has a lot to lose here.
Yes. All right. Well, good pick. You're picking Seth to win. You know what? Originally, whenever I heard of this match and the build to it and the history and everything, I was sort of on the same page. I was like, I want to see Seth win for all the reasons that you mentioned, but also because I want to see, and they're putting this on me, Slick Vic. I hate it that they're putting this on me, but they're putting this on me. There are 2 top world championships. As much as I despise that idea, there are 2 top world championships, and the WWE Championship is looked at as the top title.
Yes.
If the World Heavyweight Champion goes over on the WWE Champion, that boosts the World Heavyweight title that much more up into the echelon that it is expected to be in. And I think that that is a good thing in and of itself. However, because of the recent happenings, because of the whole Paul Heyman thing and what if I don't win, and Paul Heyman, oh, you're going to lose the locker room, you're going to lose the vision, you might lose me, I might question. I want to see that happen. I want to see that storyline unfold. Because if Cody wins, everything stays as is. Nothing changes. Cody's still the top guy. He's still got the crown jewel ring. He's still, the WWE title is, still the top title, which I think it should be, because it is the championship with all the legacy. To me, that is the top championship. I think there should be one top world championship. That's besides the point. But I think that in this case, there is an argument to be made of it's not about the championship, it's who's holding it. So if somebody other than Seth Rollins was the World Heavyweight Champion, maybe they had went over Cody. So I can see that argument too. And I want to see that fallout. Because of that, I will say Cody Rhodes is going to win this one. I do have a question for you though, Vic.
Yeah.
You say that Seth Rollins is going to win this. Do you think he wins it clean?
Yeah. I think he does. I think he does. I think he. There's going to be multiple crossroads, multiple stomps, but I think in the end, Seth wins with a clean stomp.
Okay. So Seth goes over clean. I'm going to notate that, actually.
That doesn't go against me, though, as long as Seth wins.
No, it doesn't go against you. We will notate that, though, because that's interesting. That's interesting. I think if Seth wins, he doesn't win clean. I think he wins with help if he wins. But regardless, if Seth wins, I won't be upset. But I still want to see that fallout happen. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that is Slick Vic's picks for Crown Jewel Perth 2025. And of course, if there are any additional matches made tomorrow night on SmackDown, we will post them on our Facebook page. Whatever Slick Vic picks for the additional matches made, we'll go ahead and post them on the Facebook page. That way they're out there. That way you guys got them. That way you know they're locked in prior to the event. And that event is this Saturday. Unfortunately for us here in the United States of America, I got my little globe over here, as you can see. We are over here in the United States of America, and all the way over here on the other side of the world, somewhere in Australia. Where the fuck is Australia? Is all the way over here. Because of that, Crown Jewel is going to be airing live at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, and I don't know about you, Slick Vic, but I don't think I'm going to be up for that one.
For you, it's 8 a.m. For me, it's 7.
Okay, yeah, for you it's 7 because you're on Central Time because you're weird. Yeah. Y'all are weird over there.
I know. I'm not waking up at 7 a.m. to watch Crown Jewel. I will wake up whenever I wake up on a Saturday, which is, kind of random. I like to sleep in on Saturdays because, work and stuff.
Exactly. Me too. I'm killed
So
for the weekend.
I'm going to wake up whenever I wake up, and I'm going to stay off social media because I do not like to be spoiled for these events.
You're going to wake up from a message from me. You were completely wrong, Slick Vic. Everyone you guessed was wrong.
I'm going to be like, no.
But with that,
if I get your text messages, I'm not going to read them. I'm just going to.
Yeah, I know you won't. You didn't when you went to the concert. I wasn't even messaging you spoilers. I was just like, man, this is a great event. You didn't read them till like a day and a half later. With that, we will close Slick Vic's picks. They are locked in. We're going to give you one more of the music and the old crystal ball. Until next time, dear friend.
Don't let me down, dear friend. This is for a lot of marbles here. Come on, I am really predicting 5 for 5. If there's one I have a doubt on, it's Bronson versus Roman. But I think you're right, boy. I think you're right. Bronson's going over.
All right. That was a very, very interesting Slick Vic's picks for Crown Jewel. Can't wait to see the fallout from that. I'll probably watch it. You know what? I'll be honest with you, Vic. I like watching my wrestling late in the evening. I like watching it when I'm done with everything, when all of my adulting duties are done, and I can just sit down and relax and watch some wrestling. I don't like this 8 a.m. bullshit. I understand why they're doing it, but I don't like it.
So you're saying you're not going to watch it till the evening?
I will watch it when I wake up. As soon as I wake up, I'll turn it on. I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal, Slick Vic. I will stay off social media as well. I will wake up, I will turn on Crown Jewel, and I will watch it in its entirety until I get on social media. So, there we go. All right, we have a pact going. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the final segment of the evening. Normally, we would have Slick Vic's picks going on last, but because it's October, because we love Halloween, and because last week's episode gave us so much, it gave us some great episode art from our esteemed episode artist, we are running it back. This time, we're going to be bringing you top 3 horror movies. But this time, it's going to be top 3 horror movie sequels and or prequels.
Yes.
All right? Sequels and or prequels. It could be anything from any of the... And I know like last week, I said Friday the 13th Part 5. That was one of my top 3. That counts as a sequel. Anything within a series counts as a sequel or a prequel to this. And this is how we're going to end the show this week. And Slick Vic, I'm going to let you go ahead and take the hammer on this one. What are your top 3 horror movie sequels and or prequels that our listeners should watch for this month?
First of all, I want to say, I don't know if you mentioned this on air or we said it off air, but I think you hit the nail on the head really well. This is like the epilogue of our Wrestling with Power episodes.
Yes.
Because this is our October epilogue. Stay tuned for our November epilogues, by the way.
Yeah, the wrestling's over. Now we're back on to some horror movie talk. We're talking about, we talked a little bit of horror movies earlier in the show, obviously, with Vic finally watching Akira and Night of the Living Dead, and we could talk about stuff like that all day. But this is Wrestling with Power, so we got through the wrestling, and now we're on to, again, our epilogue of the evening.
All right, let me start off. Let me ask you a question first, Mr. Mosley. Have you ever seen the original 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that movie? Your brief thoughts on that movie?
Fantastic.
Okay.
As a horror film, it was fantastic. And you said brief, so I'm trying to make it brief, but that was sort of like the OG. You know what I mean? Like that is the blueprint. That is the Super Mario Brothers of horror films, in my opinion.
Strong take. Okay.
Yes.
Because I find that movie a very hard watch. And that might be a testament to how good that movie is. Because I get really, really uncomfortable watching the movie, especially the last like 10 or 15 minutes when Sally is strapped to the dinner table and she's screaming her head off while all the family members are just laughing and cackling and having their way with her.
Yeah.
Man, that makes me extremely uncomfortable. Which is why I prefer Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I really like this zany sequel. It is so over the top, so wild, so fun that I have a good time with it. Dennis Hopper, King Koopa from the 1993 Mario Bros. Movie. He is just delivering another very, very over the top performance. At the very end, he's got a chainsaw duel with Leatherface. A lot of fun. By the way, there's a character in this movie named there is a character in this movie named Chop Top, but I almost stopped myself mid sentence there. Mosley, have you ever seen this movie? Have you ever seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
You know what? I'm thinking about sequels to Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I watched, and the only one that I can think of, and maybe I don't think it's this one because I'm not really drawing anything on what you're explaining here, but there's the one where they're in the radio place, the radio.
That's part 2.
Okay,
That's
well I've seen
2.
it. Yeah. I've seen part 2. I like part 2. Yeah. Absolutely.
I met the actor who plays Chop Top, and tell me, is there any relation between you and Bill Moseley?
Well, my first name is William, so maybe.
This is the original cover art for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It's a parody of The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Right in the middle there is Bill Moseley.
Okay.
And he signed this for me. I met him at a horror convention here in Chicago many years ago.
What does that say? Music to Vic. What does it say? Music
is my life. It's one of the quotes from his movie. And
awesome.
He also did like the prosthetics for this corpse here, nubbins as they call him.
Okay, cool, awesome.
Now, man, I wish I had a picture. But we took a picture together. We're both flashing the horns. He was a nice man. Yeah, I'll have to dig it up from some other time. But anyways, back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It's a very zany sequel. It's very depraved. It's got a lot of black comedy. It's gross. It's hilarious. I have a lot of fun with it. Chop Top, as I mentioned, Bill Moseley steals the show. There's the only returning actor is the old man, the cook, and he's zany as ever. Dennis Hopper, as I mentioned, is in this movie. He's fantastic. I have a lot of fun with this movie. It leans a lot more into what people think the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is. People think the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is this bloodbath. It's not. There's very little blood in that movie. Tobe Hooper wanted a PG rating, which is laughable when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a lot of fun with that movie. It's a blast. If you haven't seen it in a while, I recommend revisiting it. But know this, it's not a grisly horror film that the original is. It's more of a black comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. As a lot of sequels did. A lot of sequels kind of took that approach, yeah.
Do you want to give your next one, or do you want me to give my next ones?
Well, you want me to give... Well, if you want me to give my next one, I will. My first one, actually.
Let's alternate. So why don't you go ahead and give your next one?
All right, good deal. Awesome. Okay. So, top 3 horror movie sequels and prequels. Slick Vic actually hit me with this earlier today. And I was thinking at the time, I was like, okay, yeah, awesome. We'll do this. a lot harder than it seems to think of, because you have to think what sequels or prequels not necessarily outdone the original, but like really hit home with you or paid homage to the original in a big way. My first one is Child's Play 2. As an adult, Slick Vic, I have learned to appreciate the original Child's Play, Chucky, for those of you out there. The first Chucky movie as the best. That's the best Chucky movie out of all of them. However, Child's Play 2 as a young lad really messed with me, and I used to watch it over and over for some reason. And I just remember so much about that movie when he's coming out of the closet on the teacher and he's killing her with the yardstick, and just it was a crazy follow up. But this is sort of when Child's Play adapted more of the comedic stuff into it. Like, it was still a horror movie, but they leaned into the comedic aspect of Chucky, which continued on through Child's Play 3 and Bride of Chucky, and then the subsequent sequels and all of that stuff. This was a link to the past to the Chucky series. You have the original that sets the stage, but then you have the one that really lays the groundwork for it. And I feel like this is it. So yeah, for that reason, I'm going to say, as far as top 3 horror movie sequels and or prequels, I would recommend Child's Play 2.
Excellent choice, because I have a lot to say about this movie. I freaking love this movie as well. Because yes, part 1 is a very scary movie. It's the best one of the bunch. But I love part 2. I love the whole. There's a lot of memorable bits where you mentioned the teacher. Because why is Chucky in school? He like rides the bus like underneath the school bus.
You can see his little legs kicking under the bus.
Yeah. And Andy gets detention because Chucky finds his homework and he like takes a crayon and writes "fuck you, bitch" on it. And then sure enough, you see the teacher gets spanked by the ruler over and over and over.
Yeah,
like, backs up from camera. But the scene where Andy tries to hunt down Chucky in the basement with the electronic knife, the whatever weapon that is.
Yeah, it's like it's like the thing that you cut like turkey with, and yeah.
That's a really effective scene, and that whole sequence is really scary.
Yeah.
But also, my favorite part, the third act, the last like 10 minutes of the movie in the toy factory. Come on, how awesome is that?
That was really, so really good. Yeah. And it ends, and then you see him putting the hose in Chucky's mouth, and his head blows up all big, and yeah.
Oh my God, I still squirm when Chucky loses his arm. He loses his arm, and then he attaches a knife to it.
He shoves his arm down in the knife. Yeah.
Yeah, his nub. Yeah. Oh my God. Whoever did the special effects for those scenes deserves a freaking Oscar, man.
Yeah.
It grossed me out so much. So big props. I really like Child's Play 2. Fantastic choice there, Mr. Mosley.
Yes.
All right. So my second choice is what I like to call my favorite romantic horror film, so to speak. I forced my wife to watch this with me on a Valentine's Day many years ago. I don't know if she liked it. She told me she did, but she's probably humoring me. Was Return of the Living Dead 3. Now, I don't know if you ever see any of the Return of the Living Dead movies, but it's basically, we talked about Night of the Living Dead earlier, but Return of the Living Dead, the first one, was born of a contract dispute between George A. Romero and John Russo. They both co-wrote the first movie, but then they had a falling out. They went to court over who owns the rights. And John Russo was able to name his movies Living Dead, whereas George Romero is of the Dead, like Dawn of the Dead, and then we had Return of the Living Dead.
Okay.
Return of the Living Dead is much more comedic in nature than George Romero's movies. But anyways, we get to Return of the Living Dead 3, which is in the 93, I believe. The only continuity we have is it's the same virus. Basically, the story is this young couple who are madly in love with each other. The girl dies, and the boyfriend resurrects her using the same chemical that turns people into zombies.
Oh, I think I've seen this. Is the cover art with her with like the blade sticking out of her head? Yes, I've seen this. Yeah,
it's a very famous cover art.
Yes,
very very famous cover art. Mindy Clark is the actress' name, and Smoke Show.
Yes,
she's good. She's beautiful. Anyways, yes, I freaking love this movie. It's like I said, it's a great horror film to throw on like a Valentine's Day or a Sweetest Day. Because it's a love story, man. It's a love story that's really effective. And not only that, it's done by the same people that did the kills for Reanimator. So they're very, very good. Very bloody, very gross. Lots of good practical effects. I freaking love this movie. So I'm glad to hear that you've seen it. Everyone knows
good
the cover
pick.
art.
Yeah, because the whole time he's like taking care of her and she's, infected or whatever, but she's trying to hold it back, and then she turns into this thing at the end and starts killing. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, good pick, man.
All right, I'm glad you heard of this movie, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what's your second pick?
Well, my second pick, you know what, Vic? I'm going to go back and, like I said, last week we picked top 3 horror movies. There's a reason that I avoided certain top horror movies. And that's because I wanted to kind of pick things that people weren't expecting. You expect certain horror movies to come up in that list. The first Friday the 13th, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, things like that. The first Halloween, or maybe even the second Halloween. And The Exorcist. The first Exorcist movie is legendary for being just over the top and, can't hardly touch it, all of these things. But my second pick is The Exorcist Part 3, where we see, and I'll be honest with you, Vic, I don't know if I've seen Part 2, The Heretic. I don't know if I've seen that movie. If I have, it's been so long that I don't remember. But also, I think there's a reason why it's not in a lot of people's talks as being like a movie that you need to see. But Part 3 is so different. It's got, first of all, it's one of those movies where you maybe have to watch it more than once to kind of know what's going on. And you also have the guy who is the voice of Chucky in it.
Yes.
Starring as one of the main characters, one of the main antagonists, the guy they've got locked up. And I don't know, it's just so weird and so crazy, and there's so many like jump scare parts where like people are crawling across the screen and just weird things are happening. But it's a very interesting film in and of itself, even apart from the first film, which is why I like it so much as a sequel, because it is, to me, more of a direct sequel from the first one as to what would happen, later on down the line, and you get the demon of this priest coming back and infecting this guy, and, there's kills going on, but he's locked up, and it's craziness. It's craziness. But I think there's a reason for that. I think there's a reason why in the Netflix TV show Dahmer, that he mentions that as his favorite movie. That's another thing. If you've watched Dahmer, he mentions that as being like his favorite horror movie. So that makes you want to go watch it again. And so that's my second pick, The Exorcist Part 3. Slick Vic, you got any memories of this one?
Yeah, I saw this movie a couple of years ago, actually, for the very first time. Well, I remember George C. Scott, who plays the detective, is really good in this movie as well.
Yeah.
He's the protagonist in the movie. Excuse me. So yeah, he's really good in this movie. But then yeah, we get to Brad Dourif in the cell, and he's going on and on about this. I don't remember exactly what he's talking about, but he is really good in this movie. But you mentioned this earlier. This movie has arguably the best jump scare in film history, where the nurse is walking down and closing all the doors and locking up at night. And then she locks that last door. And then what happens? The guy comes out with the shears and chases her down.
Yeah.
My God. Oh, God. It's probably that is probably the greatest jump scare of all time.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
That's exactly what I was thinking about when I mentioned the jump scares, was that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So my third pick for my one of my favorite horror film sequels is Doctor Sleep.
Okay.
Doctor Sleep is the sequel to The Shining. Now, if you listen to our web episode last week, which I know you did because you guys are very intelligent listeners,
yes,
is that I picked The Shining as one of my all-time favorite horror films, and Doctor Sleep is a very, very worthy follow-up. If you decide to go check this out, I highly recommend you watch the director's cut. Yes, it's close to 3 hours long, but it does not feel like it. It's fantastic. This combines both the... Here's the thing, a little preface here, because Stephen King's book, The Shining, is a lot different than Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. This movie managed to combine both of the book sequel and the movie sequel into a very cohesive and well-written story. I don't know if you've ever seen any of these Netflix shows like House on Haunted Hill or Midnight Mass or House of Usher.
Yeah.
Same guy that made those shows made Doctor Sleep, and he did a fantastic job in my book. It centers around the son of Jack Nicholson from the original Shining. His name was Danny Torrance. It's now just going by Dan Torrance. And he's like his father. He's a struggling alcoholic, and that made me really feel for the guy. I was like, "Oh man, don't be like your dad, man.
Yeah.
Come on, Dan." And he's just trying to get through life because he loses his mother. You know, Shelley Duvall's character. He loses his mother at a very young age as well. He loses his best friend. Not his best friend. I mean, his God. There was the character Dick O'Halloran. That was his name. He dies in the movie The Shining, but he lives in the book.
Well, he lives in the... I want to mention, too, there's also another made-for-TV movie of The Shining.
Yes.
Which
in
is...
mid-90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I recommend Doctor Sleep. I think it's fantastic. I think Rose the Hat is a great villain. They're I don't want to say they're vampires. They're kind of like living off of like innocent children or something.
Yeah, they're like sorcerers. They're like soul suckers.
Yeah,
they like suck the soul out of people.
Yeah. So Doctor Sleep, fantastic one. I highly recommend it, especially the director's cut.
Very good pick. And I will mention, too, that if you have Vudu/Fandango at home right now, I think that movie's on sale with the original Stanley Kubrick Shining. You can get it in a combo pack. But very good movie. Very good movie. Vic, I don't know. Are we going on to my last one now? Are we... drum roll, please.
Go for it.
Oh, we got extra drum roll there. All right, drum roll. So, Vic, you mentioned to me that, you know, this was about sequels and or prequels, and I can think of sequels all day long. I can think of 100 different sequels to various movies that I like that I would like to mention, but I wanted to do a prequel. And the first thing that came to mind was the prequel to The Exorcist. And then I remembered that movie sucks. You know, it's not that good. So I started thinking, like, what is a good prequel? What is a prequel movie that really just outshines the original, outshines any of the sequels that came after it? And the list became very slim, but I will say that I thought of one, and that is The First Omen.
Yeah.
The First Omen.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I was never that impressed by the Omen movies. They were always kind of, I don't know. I kind of thought of them in the same realm as the Insidious movies. I was never, they had their moments, but they never really got to me. The First Omen is a completely different story, where it's just so uncomfortable to watch. I mean, there's so many different moments in this. The whole thing is so uncomfortable to watch, and you just get drawn in. You can't stop watching it. There's the nun who jumps off the balcony and kills herself right in front of everybody, and then you got the baby, and it's just, oh man. This movie, in my opinion, was the best of the Omen series, and it was a prequel. It was a prequel to the original. Did you watch it? What'd you think, Vic?
I have seen it. It's fantastic. Yeah. I remember really liking this a lot. Now, I can't remember specific plot points, but I do remember enjoying this immensely. Was there a pregnancy involved?
Yeah, she was pregnant. The girl that comes into the convent or whatever you want to call it, and comes into the nun place, she ends up being pregnant. And they're all sort of like thinking, oh, this is the rebirth of, I don't know, Jesus or whatever, but,
Jesus!
I don't know. I don't remember if that was the exact thing. Or I think that they actually think that it's the rebirth of the devil, and they're all kind of like backwards and devilish and whatnot. But either way, what happens? I've not seen it in a minute. I can't give you specifics, but I can say that it is a great movie. It's a very unsettling movie, and it is one that you should definitely watch for your viewing pleasures this October season.
Now, one thing I'd like to add is around the same time that this movie came out, there was almost a companion piece. The movie is called Immaculate, which is about an American nun who embarks on a new journey when she joins a remote convent in an Italian countryside.
Yes.
However, her warm welcome quickly turns into a living nightmare when she discovers that her new home harbors a sinister secret and unspeakable horrors. So that's Immaculate, which came out around the exact same time as The First Omen. So
that is a really good movie as well, and I will give you.
Seen it.
Yeah, I will give you props for mentioning that. Yeah, Immaculate. She goes to the convent, and it looks all nice and pretty and everything, and then come to find out they're all like devil worshippers.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's not as good as the First Omen, but it's still an enjoyable piece of film.
Definitely a honorable mention there, Slick Vic.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good double feature. If you're watching The First Omen, then definitely watch Immaculate as well.
Good stuff. Well, There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You've got 3 top sequels and or prequels from us this week. You got, if you listened to last week's episode, top 3, some of our top 3 horror movies in general that we like. And that's about it. So we're going to hit the old...
Hold on. I think we need to give a shout out to our boy.
Yeah.
He mentioned, our boy Christian mentioned Army of Darkness.
Yes. Does Army of Darkness count? Because that's my favorite horror sequel, he said.
Army of Darkness absolutely counts. You kidding me? That's part 3. That's part 3 in the Evil Dead series. And by the way, Bruce Campbell is my hero. I love Bruce Campbell.
That
So
TV
yes,
show,
Christian.
that TV show series they came out with was really good too. They shouldn't have canceled it. Pisses me off.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Army of Darkness is fun to me, and this is just me, but it is a live action Three Stooges movie
Yeah.
with horror elements.
Yeah.
There's even a scene where Bruce Campbell, Ash, blocks an eye poke by going like this. I'm like, oh my god, this is the Three Stooges, but in a horror film.
Yeah.
It's a one man Three Stooges movie.
Yeah. Hell to the king, baby.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Yeah.
Endlessly quotable. Endlessly quotable.
Absolutely.
It's like you ain't leading two things with Jack and shit, and Jack left town. So yes, Christian, absolutely. Army of Darkness is a very great choice. Hail to the king, baby.
Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for tuning in once again. Kristen, as always, #1 fan. Slick Vic, do you have anything you want to leave the people with today?
Well, I want to thank you all for listening to our horror ramblings and whatnot, and stick around for more in October because we got a lot of horror to cover. We love to talk about wrestling and horror. So until then, I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
And I want to just say that, to everybody out there, first of all, if you haven't already, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/wrestlingwithpower. If you're watching this, you're probably already on there, but why not? YouTube.com/@wrestlingwithpower podcast. And of course on Spotify, I don't know what the address is because it's some kind of crazy bunch of numbers and bullshit. But just go to Spotify and search Wrestling with Power. You're going to find our podcast on there ever since day one-ish. The very first episode, all the way up until now, is on there. And as always, stay powerful, everybody.